The box arrived without a return address. It was a late afternoon when Mara found it, sitting on her front porch. Plain, brown cardboard. No markings except her name written in a thin, shaky hand. She hadn't ordered anything. She was certain of that. Still, the package wasn't heavy, and curiosity has a way of overriding better judgment. Inside was a doll. It was old, older than anything she'd ever owned. Porcelain face, faintly cracked around the cheeks, glassy eyes that seemed just slightly too large. Its dress was yellow-laced, carefully stitched, though worn with time. The hair, real hair, Mara realized with a faint shiver, was braided neatly down its back. There was a note. Mara turned the doll over in her hands. It felt cold. Not just room temperature cold, but something deeper, like it had been left outside in winter. She told herself it was just her imagination. Probably something Grandma sent, she muttered. But her grandma had passed away 3 years ago. She set the doll on the kitchen counter and tried not to think about it. That night, Mara couldn't sleep. It wasn't unusual. She'd always had trouble drifting off, but something felt off. The house creaked in unfamiliar ways. Every small sound seemed sharper, closer. At around 2:17 a.m., she heard it, a soft tap. She sat up in bed, holding her breath. Another tap, then a faint scraping sound. It was coming from downstairs. Mara told herself it was the house settling. Old wood expands, contracts, makes noise. Totally normal. But then she heard something else. A small, hollow click. Like a porcelain knocking against wood. She stayed frozen for a long time, staring at her bedroom door. Eventually, exhaustion pulled her under. In the morning, everything seemed normal. Too normal. Sunlight spilled into the kitchen, illuminating the counter where she'd left the doll. Except it wasn't there anymore. Mara stopped in the doorway. "No," she said quietly, scanning the room. The doll sat at the kitchen table, perfectly upright in one of the chairs, facing her. She stared at it for a long time, her pulse picking up. "I didn't." She began but didn't finish. Maybe she moved it last night. Maybe she just didn't remember. People forget things all the time. Still, she didn't like the way it was positioned, like it had been placed there deliberately, waiting. She walked over slowly and picked it up. Its head tilted slightly in her grip, the glass eye catching the light in a way that made them seem almost aware. "Yeah, you're going in a box," she muttered. She placed the doll back in the cardboard packaging and shoved it into the hall closet, closing the door firmly. Out of sight, out of mind. That evening, Mara invited her friend Jess over. She didn't mention the doll at first. They ordered pizza, watched TV, tried to keep things light. But Mara couldn't stop glancing toward the hallway. Jess noticed. "Okay," she said, pausing the show. "What's going on with you?" Mara hesitated. Then she laughed it off at first. But the story spilled out anyway. The package, the doll, the noises. Jess raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" "I know it sounds stupid," Mara said, "but I swear I left it on the counter, and this morning, it was..." "At the table?" Jess finished. "Yeah, you said." Jess stood up. "Show me." Mara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "It's in the closet," she said. They walked down the hall together. Mara opened the closet door. The box was gone. Both of them froze. "Okay," Jess said slowly. "That's not funny." "I didn't move it," Mara whispered. A soft sound came from behind them. They turned. The doll sat at the end of the hallway, on the floor, facing them. Jess let out a short, nervous laugh. "All right," she said. "You're messing with me now." "I'm not." Mara's voice came out sharper than she intended. They both stared at the doll. It hadn't been there a second ago. Jess walked forward cautiously. "It's just a doll," she said, though her voice had almost lost some of its confidence. "Look." She nudged it with her foot. Nothing happened. She picked it up, turning it over. "See? Totally harmless." Mara didn't feel reassured. "Put it back," she said quickly. Jess shrugged and set it down again. But when she did, the doll's head turned, just slightly. A faint grinding sound accompanied the movement. Jess froze. "Did you say that?" "Yeah." The room felt suddenly cold. "Okay," Jess said, backing up. "That's not normal." The doll's eyes seemed to shift, focusing on them. Then it spoke, not loudly, not dramatically, just a soft, childlike whisper. "Don't put me away." Mara screamed. They left the house. Jess insisted on it. They sat in the car, both shaking, trying to make sense of what they'd seen. "That wasn't real," Jess said, over and over. "That couldn't have been real." "But it was," Mara said. "You heard it too." Jess rubbed her face. Okay, maybe there's some explanation, like a voice box? A prank? In a doll that old?" Jess didn't answer. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Jess exhaled. "All right, we go back in, we get the doll, we throw it away, done." Mara hesitated. But what else could she do? They went back inside. The hallway was empty. The doll was gone. They searched the entire house, every room, every closet, under the bed, behind furniture, nothing. "It's not here," Jess said, her voice tight. Mara shook her head. "It has to be." A faint sound drifted from upstairs, a soft, rhythmic tapping. They both looked toward the ceiling. "It's in your room," Jess whispered. Mara didn't want to go up there, but she did, slowly. Each step creaked under her weight. The tapping grew louder. When she reached the top, her bedroom door was slightly open. She pushed it gently. The doll sat on her bed. Its legs stretched out in front of it, its head tilted to one side. Tap, tap, tap. Its hand was moving, hitting the mattress in a slow, steady rhythm. Mara felt something inside her snap. "No," she said louder this time. "No, I'm done with this." She stormed forward, grabbed the doll, and marched downstairs. "Mara," Jess started, but Mara didn't stop. She carried it straight to the kitchen, opened the back door, and threw it into the yard. It landed on the grass with a dull thud. "Stay out there," she said, breathing hard. They both stood there watching. The doll didn't move. For a moment, everything was still. Then it sat up. Not slowly, not naturally. It jerked upright in a single sharp motion. Jess grabbed Mara's arm. "Nope," she said. "Nope, we're leaving." They ran. Mara stayed at Jess's apartment that night. She didn't go back home. She couldn't. The next morning, Jess offered to go with her to check things out. Mara agreed. The house looked normal from the outside, too normal. They approached cautiously. The door was slightly ajar. "I locked it," Mara said. Jess nodded. "I believe you." They stepped inside. The air felt heavy, like the house was holding its breath. "Hello?" Mara called, though she didn't expect an answer. Silence. They moved slowly through the house. Nothing seemed disturbed until they reached the living room. Mara stopped. Jess bumped into her. "What?" Then she saw it. Dozens of dolls lining the walls, sitting on shelves, arranged neatly on the furniture, all facing the center of the room. And in the center, the original doll, standing upright waiting. Mara felt her knees weaken. "I didn't have these," she whispered. Jess shook her head. Neither did you yesterday. The doll's head turned around toward them. Then the others followed one by one, dozens of glass eyes locking onto them, and then in unison they smiled. The porcelain cracked, just slightly, just enough. A chorus of whispers filled the room. Stay, play, don't leave. Mara grabbed Jess's hand. We're going, she said, but the door slammed shut behind them. The dolls began to move, not walking, not quiet. They shifted, jerked, dragged themselves forward in unnatural motions. The sound of porcelain scraping against wood filled the room. Jess screamed. Mara pulled her toward the kitchen, searching for another exit. But every doorway was blocked, every path filled with those things, closing in. The original doll stepped forward, its movements smoother now, more controlled. It stopped, just a few feet away from Mara, its head tilted. You opened the box, it said softly. Mara shook her head. I didn't know. You let me in. The doll raised its hand. The other stopped, perfectly still. You can leave it, it said. Mara's heart pounded. Why? She whispered. The doll's smile widened. Because now you're a part of the house. The lights flickered, the walls creaked, and for a brief, horrifying moment, Mara saw something behind the dolls. Shapes, people, faces pressed into the walls. Silent screams frozen beneath the surface, watching, waiting. Jess squeezed her hand. Mara! But Mara couldn't respond. The doll stepped closer. Don't be afraid. It only hurts for a moment. The room seemed to be close in. The whispers grew louder. And then, everything went dark. The house is still there. Neighbors say it's been empty for years. No one stays long. Some claim they hear tapping at night. Soft, rhythmic, coming from inside the walls. Others say they've seen something in the windows. A small figure, sitting perfectly, still, watching, waiting. And sometimes, if you get close enough, you might hear a faint childlike voice. Don't put me away.